Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's an honor for me to be here to introduce my distinguished guest, His Excellency Adel Al-Jubeir. Al-Jubeir currently serves as Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and Climate Envoy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Throughout his career, Mr. Al-Jubeir has been at the forefront of Saudi Arabia's diplomatic efforts, playing a crucial role in shaping the kingdom's foreign policy and international relations. As the kingdom's first climate envoy, he is spearheading Saudi Arabia's ambitious climate initiatives, including the Saudi Green Initiative and the Middle East Green Initiative, which aim to significantly reduce carbon emissions and enhance sustainability. What a great pleasure to be here with you, and what an amazing conversation.
Thank you, my pleasure.
To start with, let me ask you, there is a growing relationship between the kingdom and Brazil and Latin America. Can you tell us a little bit more about it, and how do you see the potential of those two countries to collaborate?
Well, Saudi Arabia and Brazil have been long-standing friends and partners for many, many decades. We see the world in similar terms. We believe in the sovereignty of nations. We believe in the principle of non-interference. We believe in international law and settling conflicts through peaceful means. We believe that the focus should be on improving ourselves, our people, improving standards of living in our own countries. That's our focus. We don't seek conflict, we don't seek domination, we don't seek power. We seek to improve ourselves and provide a better future for our people. So in that sense, we're aligned. And I believe the same applies in general to most of the countries in South America. Saudi Arabia has made the strategic decision to enhance its relationship with the continent of South America. Our economies are complementary, they are not competitive. There are many areas where we can work together, whether it's food security, whether it's agriculture, whether it's energy, renewable energy, mining, you name it, we can do it. Technology, aerospace, all of these issues. We have had a challenge of distance between us and South America, and we're trying to overcome that distance through more contacts, more visits, and more direct communications between our two regions in the world. But our relationship with Brazil is a very strategic relationship, it's a very important relationship. It also, we have very close relations, personal relations between the leadership of our two countries, and we are both members of the G20, and we play important roles in those areas.
Let me pick you exactly on that. Saudi Arabia was the G20's host in 2020. 4 years later, Brazil is the host of the G20. In your view, what's the role of the G20, and what we are facing right now? What's the role of G20 and Brazil in climate right now? How do you see that?
The G20 plays a very important role because the G20 countries represent approximately 80% of the world's economic output. So it's very important that there's coordination and that there's communication and that there's understanding between those countries in ways that help the globe as a whole. So that's very important. The G20 started, of course, in response to the financial crisis of 2008, where the central bankers of those countries agreed to measures to stimulate their economies and prevent the financial system from collapsing. That forum was then, a decision was made by the leaders to make that forum more permanent and to meet annually in order to deal with different challenges that could impact on our financial situation. So it grew, and now we deal with, in the G20 deals with...
Can you speak a little bit louder?
The G20 deals with issues involving climate, youth, women's issues, technology, all of these issues that have an impact on the well-being of the citizens of Earth.
Quite interesting. Brazil is hosting the G20 this year, and is going to host the COP30 next year. And I think that one of the big issues we have been discussing is energy transition, energy security. Can you tell us a little bit your view on that?
First of all, I wouldn't describe it as energy transition. I would describe it as energy evolution. The world doesn't transition from one to another, it evolves. We evolved from using coal as a primary source of energy in 1960 to oil. We have made the point since the 1980s that oil is a finite resource and that the world's demand for energy will keep expanding, and that we need to find other sources of energy to meet that growing demand. and we have been investing in alternative energies and renewable energy for some time now. We will continue to do so because that's where the future is. But oil will be a part of the energy mix for many, many decades. So we see that the issue of energy security is if you don't have energy, you can't function. Whether it's turning the lights on, whether it's cooling the room, whether it's heating the room, whether it's driving cars, whether it's even turning on your laptop. Everything requires energy. The energy has to come from somewhere, and the energy is composed of a mix: hydrocarbons, renewables, solar, and nuclear, and other sources. And the key for us on the planet is to ensure that we produce it efficiently, that we produce it in a clean way, and that we are not wasteful, so that we are able to minimize any disruptions to our planet.
We were discussing backstage about climate finance and climate investing and how profitable business opportunities are in the climate space. And the Kingdom has done many investments, has dedicated a huge effort not only onshore but also offshore through climate investments. Can you tell us a little bit about it and your vision on exactly this difference of climate financing and investment?
Well, we are very bullish on alternative sources of energy and renewable energy. We are very large investors in solar, in hydro. We're large investors in electric vehicles. We are looking at a nuclear program. So we are, and we have major initiatives with regard to turning waste into energy, with regards to protecting oceans, protecting our landmass. We're very big investors in reversing deforestation, in land reclamation, and all of these programs have an economic value to them. Instead of spending several billion riyals collecting waste and storing it or dumping it, we will be making billions of riyals turning that waste into energy. When we look at solar energy, there's a capital cost up front, and then the rest is pretty much profit. So it is not a cost as much as it is a profit. And I think when the business community begins to look at renewable energy and so other sources of energy as a source of profit, I think the investment capital is available, and we see it every day.
Quite interesting. Saudi Arabia has ambitious plans that are detailed in Vision 2030. And by coincidence, you're also going to host the Expo 2030. How those things connect, and how you expect to have a Vision 2030 and an Expo 2030 that are sustainable, that bring dignity to people? How is your view on that?
We are in the midst of our implementing our Vision 2030. Vision 2030 is a hugely ambitious program. It seeks to, at its core, improve the quality of life for Saudis by improving quality of life and by improving standards of life, living. It is an initiative that seeks to open up new areas for investment, whether it's recreation, entertainment, whether it's mining, whether it's renewable energy, artificial intelligence. It also seeks to improve and enhance the functions of the public sector so that you have a more efficient governance, regulations and things of that nature. In order to attract foreign investment, and in order to do this, you also need to improve the efficiency of your court systems. You need to improve the quality of life in your country. You need to improve education and healthcare, and you also need to empower your youth and your women. And this we've done in Saudi Arabia, and we're in the midst of doing it. As a consequence, we have unleashed a lot of energy, positive energy, and unleashed a lot of optimism in Saudi Arabia, attracted much more foreign investment, increasingly more foreign investment into the country. So the objective is all of it links together. You cannot, and you cannot do any of this if you don't have clean water and if you don't have clean air. So it's all interconnected. You cannot have this if you, I mean, ideally you want a calm and stable neighborhood so that you can keep focusing on improving your domestic situation and improving the quality of life for your people and working with others in the region. We launched the Middle East Green Initiative, which brings together more than 20 countries to try to reverse to plant up to 40 billion trees in order to help in terms of climate and also in terms of quality of life. We will be hosting the Expo 2030 and look forward to doing so because it coincides with the target date of our Vision 2030. We also will be hosting this year COP16, which is known as the Earth COP, in order to focus attention on the importance of reversing land degradation and reclaiming land. Because again, when you deal with land, if you don't have land and you don't have water, you don't have agriculture, you will have conflict. People migrate to areas where they can have food and water. More often than not, there are people living in those areas, and that generates conflict. And conflict generates death and destruction and migration, and that generates instability around the world. So everything is connected. And this is the approach that we take to solving or dealing with those challenges.
Beautiful view. Since we have a couple of minutes left, you have mentioned the young population of the kingdom. How have you worked on giving, on fostering technology, entrepreneurship to this young population? Because I understand that's a huge concern that you have. How have you been dealing with that?
Well, to begin with, we're very lucky because 70% of our population is under the age of 32 or so. So we're a very young population. That gives us a lot of energy. If we can unleash that potential, as I mentioned in the objectives of our Vision 2030, these young people will lift Saudi Arabia to greater heights. If we can empower youth and we empower women and we improve the quality of life, entertainment, recreation, and all of these issues, it makes them more productive, more happier citizens, and as a consequence, they add to the wealth. This conference deals with, one of the themes is dignity. And dignity involves security, it involves opportunity, it involves jobs, it involves healthcare, it involves clean air, clean water, all of these issues. We have seen a dramatic increase in the number of entrepreneurship in Saudi Arabia. We have seen almost a tripling of the participation rate of women in the workforce from 14% or so to 35, 36%. The percentage of women entrepreneurs who start high-tech companies in Saudi Arabia is among the highest in the world, which was unthinkable 10 years ago. All of this because of the changes that people are seeing and that they're living through, because of the excitement that they have. And we see it every day. We have young women who's an astronaut, we have women who are technology people, we have young people who start applications, we have young people who patent scientific discoveries, and it is an exciting time for Saudi Arabia. And what we can do as I guess parents or the older generation is create the environment so they can excel and get out of their way while they do it.
You were talking before about your initiatives on waste to energy, and how the kingdom is, I understand that the kingdom wants to position itself not only as a leadership in the traditional, but also in the green energy markets. And I understand that you have done huge investment on hydrogen, for instance. Can you tell us a little bit more about the green energy market in Saudi Arabia?
Well, we have, with regards to the environmental issues, almost 80 different initiatives in Saudi Arabia, waste to energy. We will be one of the largest exporters of clean hydrogen in the world. As we speak, we're building one of the largest green hydrogen plants in northern Saudi Arabia, in Neom. All of this is part of our vision. It's part of our role as an energy exporter. We're not an oil exporter anymore. Our objective is to be one of the world's key energy exporters. Renewable energy, solar energy, hydrocarbon energy, all of it. So we are fully committed to those areas, and we have made huge investments. We'll continue to do so because they are essential for the functioning of the world economy, and because they are profitable, and because it diversifies our sources of income away from oil. We were able to reduce our dependence on oil for income as a government to where it's now roughly 50%.
Last question. We are in a difficult moment in the world right now, climate extremes and everything, geopolitics, and collaboration is more than ever needed. And the Kingdom has done many efforts. FII is one of those examples of collaborating and bringing people to think together and to act together. What would be your final words in the sense of collaboration, how we can bring more people into this battle of fighting climate change?
I think we bring people together with regards to fighting climate change and all other issues by connecting, by building bridges. And Saudi Arabia is about connecting. We sit between three continents, Asia, Africa, and Europe. We have sent more than 500,000 of our young men and women to study at universities around the world, from Japan to the United States, and they all come back. We are the largest oil exporter in the world. We are the home, the birthplace of Islam. The two holy cities, Mecca and Medina, are in Saudi Arabia. Three of the world's most important waterways are around us: the Strait of Hormuz, Bab el-Mandab, the Suez Canal. We are large investors in the global financial system. We are large players in the energy markets. So we have a stake in the stability of the global system. And we are connected with the world, and we want the world to be connected with us. And we believe that the more bridges we build, the more we communicate, the more we recognize that we all inhabit this small planet called Earth, and the more we can contribute to making it more stable and more prosperous. And this is the approach that we take. So we reach out. That's why we're here in Brazil, and you're halfway around the world from us. That's why we deal with the Far East. That's why we deal with other countries. And we will continue to do so because lack of communication means misunderstanding, means conflict, and we're trying to create a world that's united.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being in Brazil. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Great pleasure.